And away we go, 4-53. Solve each equation below algebraically. Think about rewriting, looking inside, or undoing to simplify the process. Letter A, 5 minus 3 times the quantity of 1/2 x plus 2 should equal -7. I'm going to start out using the undoing process. I'm going to subtract by 5 from each side. So when we do that, we're going to have 5 minus 5 is obviously going to be 0. We don't need to write that. And I'm going to bring down my -3 times this quantity. Remember, this negative belongs to this guy, not this one. So -3 times the quantity of 1/2 x plus 2 equals -7 minus 5. We're going to be at -12. And I'm going to go ahead and do undoing again, or the undoing method. You could look at this and say -3 times what value here equals -12, and we know that -3 times 4 equals -12, and you get the same thing when you divide by -3. So we know 1/2 x plus 2 should equal 4, and now it's positive over here. Well, what number plus 2 equals 4? Well, wouldn't that be like saying 2 plus 2 equals 4? So right now we know that either you can subtract 2 from each side, or you could say 1/2 x, or this number right here, should equal 2. And if we're taking half of a number and it equals 2, then half of what number equals 2? Well, we know that's 4. So you can do it a couple ways there. I like to say, well, if I have half an x, I need a whole x that I'm solving for. I'm going to multiply each side times 2, because 2 times 1/2 is 1, and 1 times x gives us x. 2 times 2 is 4. So we end up with the solution x equals 4. Now to check it, you can take it, plug it back in. I'm going to do that. Let's check it real quick here. I'm going to check it in blue. So we're going to say 5 minus 3 times 1/2 times 4 plus 2. Sorry if it's small and it's hard to read. I'm just cramming it in there. 1/2 times 4 is 2, plus 2 is 4. So we have 5 minus 3 times 4 equals -7. -3 times 4 is -12, so 5 minus 12 equals -7, and when we get 5 minus 12 does equal -7, we know we are correct. Let's look at B. 5 times the quantity of the square root of x minus 2, and then we're going to be adding 1 to that, and it says that that should equal 15. Well, if we use looking inside, I'm thinking about this entire expression here. This entire thing. If I said 5 times what value equals 15, well, I know that this value inside of here, which is all of this, should equal 3. So the square root of the quantity of x minus 2 plus 1 should equal 3. You get the same thing if you divide each side by 5. Then you think about this number plus 1 equals 3. Well, this entire value then has to be 2, right? You get the same thing if you subtract 1 from each side. You could use either the looking inside or the undoing like I just did. So we know that x minus 2 equals 2. And then when you think to yourself here, the square root of what equals 2? Well, we know that that answer would have to be 4. So if you undo it, you can see it this way. You could say, how do I undo the square root? Well, I square it. But then I have to square the other side of the equation as well. This should leave us with x minus 2 equals 4. I really prefer the looking inside, but I think that some of us get confused by what to do on that step, so that's why I did it this way. And then what number minus 2 gives us 4? Well, we know that's going to have to be 6, and this is how we get it. We add 2 to each side, and we get that x equals 6. We take it and we plug it back in there to check it. I'm going to check it in red here. I've got 5 times the square root of 6 minus 2. Then we're adding 1, and that equals 15. 6 minus 2 is 4. The square root of 4 is 2. So we've got 5 times the quantity of 2 plus 1 equals 15. Well, 2 plus 1 is 3, and 5 times 3 is 15. So we know that 15 equals 15, and we are correct. Let's move on. Problem C. 12 minus some value here equals 2. This is one that people make a lot of mistakes on when they don't think about it all the time. But if I do 12 minus all of this equals 2, well, what am I really taking away from 12? 12 minus what is 2? That would be 10. So we know right now that the value of this quantity here has to equal 10. Notice there I didn't have to distribute any negatives or look at it and try to figure out, like, what do I do here? I know that that value has to equal 10. Now, I've got 2x over 3 plus x equals 10. If I want to rewrite here this equation and make it a little bit easier to solve, I could get rid of my fraction. In order to do that, I'm going to take it here and I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by a 3. So 3 times 2x is 6x, divided by 3 gives us 2x again. So we have 2x. When we did that, and then we did 3 times x is going to give us plus 3x equals 30. Now we can combine our like terms. 2x plus 3x is 5x. So we have 5x equals 30. So 5 times what number equals 30? Well, we know then that x has to equal 6. 5 times 6 is 30. To check, let's go ahead there. Actually, let me mark this answer here. Say that x equals 6. Check it in black down here. We've got 12 minus 2 times 6 over 3 plus 6. And we say that should equal 2. So as long as all this adds up to 10, we'll be good. Let's see what happens. 12 minus 2 times 6 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. So we're going to say 12 minus the quantity of 4 plus 6. 4 plus 6 is 10, so we get 12 minus 10 is going to equal 2. And that is a true statement. We know we are correct. So x does equal 6. Last one here. Let's look at D. We have negative 3 times the quantity of 2x plus 1 cubed equals negative 192. So one way I like to start out here, I'm going to start out using the undoing process again. I'm going to undo the fact that I'm multiplying this quantity times negative 3. So let's divide by negative 3 on each side. And what we're left with on the left is going to be the quantity of 2x plus 1 to the third power. And when we divide negative 192 by negative 3, we should get positive 64. Now, some of us haven't solved, things with cubic expressions in them a lot. So remember, the inverse to cubing something would be the cube root. So I'm going to take the cube root of each side. We got your little 3 up there, indicate that it's the cube root, not the square root. This cube root will cancel out this third power, or this cube here, so we're left with 2x plus 1 should equal the cube root of 64, and that's going to be what number times itself 3 times gives us 64. Well, that would be 4 times 4 times 4, which is 4 to the third. So the cube root of 64 is going to be 4. So on to the next step. Subtract 1. We have 2x equals 3. We divide each side by 2. And x equals 3 halves, or 1.5. However you want to write it there. It means the same thing. Actually, I'm going to put this in parentheses so you don't look at it like it's 2 different solutions. It's the same thing. For checking, let's plug it back in. I'm going to plug in the 3 halves. I'm going to say negative 3 times 2 times 3 halves plus 1 all to the third power equals negative 192. 2 times 3 halves is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have negative 3 times 4 to the third power equals negative 192. 4 to the third power is 64. So negative 3 times 64 equals negative 192. And you know that you are correct. Congratulations. So we've got our answers here. Make sure you double check them over. If you have questions, ask your teacher or get help from somebody there. This is problem 4-53 from the homework. This is Mr. Boyd signing off.